Comment ça va? I think we need to bring energy in this room this morning because coffee is not that strong. So to welcome good spirit in this room, let's try to bring a lot of warmth and let's applaud ourselves. We went through an amazing program. Let's go. Woo-hoo. And it's funny because, David, you and me have been the voice of the two organizations who organized this event. Yeah, Matt and Jeff. And I know you're like me, we went through an amazing event, but I discovered this man during this event, and I discovered a sense of humor and everything. It's so much fun to work with you. And we are at the final day, and we've been through a lot, and we will set up the stage. We have a great panel in a few minutes, and we will buckle up this day, opening what will be next. But David, how are you this morning?
I am wonderful.
And I saw you pitching little things last night somewhere.
I was not pitching anything. That was my colleagues. I was actually well behaved at the, It's, you know, I'm looking around the room. I see a few less faces here this morning than there was yesterday. I think that's okay. I think most of them are still paying for their bill at the beer market, and they will be along shortly. They're still there. I've been doing some networking.
Oh la la.
I have a very stiff neck, but these are very important because, as you see, I have all these business cards.
Not a good time to go in the pool, no?
No, not a good time. But I have to say, last night I noticed as we went to the beer garden, most people kept these in their pockets till they got there, so they did follow the safety procedures from Wednesday evening. I still have stuff to give away. I've been hoarding gifts and keeping them for myself and hoping that everybody would just leave before the day's done.
And you tried to give one away and came back.
I tried to give one away, came back. So what we're going to do is this. I have a lot of business cards, but I don't have all your business cards. It's all about networking, and today, at some point in time, before lunch, maybe even in the lunch line, I'll be around. I like to eat. Find me, give me your business card. If you do not give me your business card, I cannot pull your name to win a prize later. That's the point. So as you see me over the course of the morning in the hallway, you know I'll be in the hallway. Give me your business card, maybe not around the 2-minute mark, but give me your business card so I can stuff it in one of my pouches and one of my kangaroo packs, and we will draw for the V-Rail tickets, and we will have possibly some other maple product prizes to give away as well. So that'll be after lunch. So stick around.
Hier, il y a des personnes qui étaient inquiètes parce qu'on a bien mangé ensemble, mais il restait de la nourriture dans la salle où est-ce qu'on allait se servir. Et en toute solidarité, toute la nourriture qui reste à la suite de nos repas, que ce soit le petit déjeuner, le repas du midi, qu'on ne mange pas, est remis à la table des chefs ici à Montréal. Donc, il n'y a rien de perdu et en toute solidarité, vraiment, c'est partagé. Puis merci aux organisateurs d'avoir fait le lien. Le check-out time, je ne sais même pas c'est quoi ça. Oui. Donc, non, I know it's noon, but I just don't know how to say check-out in French.
Oh, check-out.
But vous devez quitter votre chambre pour midi. Puis il y a des moments de pause après le panel pour vraiment sortir votre bagage. Donc, gênez-vous pas de le faire à ce moment-là pour ne pas être pris dans une lignée. Hey, on est déjà rendu à la dernière journée de ce sommet. Hier, on a eu une journée super bien remplie. Je pense que je n'ai pas vu personne qui était tout seul dans son coin. On a profité de tous les moments pour rencontrer, se réseauter, aller à des ateliers pour, encore là, en petits groupes, prendre le temps de découvrir des sujets qui nous concernent, des sujets pertinents au travail que l'on fait dans notre contexte respectif. Il y a eu la plénière le matin. Puis, je ne renommerai pas toutes les personnes qui étaient là, mais il y avait Nancy, M. Minsberg et tout ça. Et À suite de ça, on a vu plein de post-it s'écrire sur le mur de partage dans la salle des exposants, à quel point les gens avaient été impressionnés par le partage, puis à quel point que les propos des gens qui participaient à la plénière, bien, ça résonnait dans notre cœur, dans notre tête, dans notre pratique. À quel point ces propos-là, pour certains d'entre nous, validaient des choses. Puis il y en a même des gens qui m'ont dit « Oh, ça vient un peu nous chercher, ça nous provoque un peu ». Comme je mentionnais, les ateliers ont permis qu'on se retrouve en plus petits groupes, mais sur des sujets d'intérêt, des sujets qui venaient vraiment, on avait le goût d'approfondir. Puis, comme vous, je me suis permis, dans le cadre de ce moment-là, d'aller me ressourcer. À l'heure du midi, puis quelqu'un me le mentionnait encore ce matin, à quel point c'est important de ne pas se créer des barrières entre nous au Canada, francophones, anglophones et Premières Nations. Et quand Caroline est venue nous parler le midi, à quel point pour certains, certaines d'entre nous, ça a été comme une initiation. Puis il y en a d'autres, encore là, ça a suscité un grand intérêt de découvrir les pratiques, de découvrir ce qui se passe dans les communautés des Premières Nations. Vous savez, un programme comme ça, il est ficelé, serré, parce qu'il est organisé par un comité organisateur, un comité de programme. Puis je pense que ça vaut la peine de les applaudir parce qu'on vit cet événement-là, mais c'est grâce à tous, ces personnes. Mais moi, ce qui me fascine, là, parce que j'aime plus ça. À mon âge, là, j'aime plus ça, aller à des conférences. Pas que je peux plus apprendre, c'est que je trouve que des fois, il faut renouveler la méthode. Puis je trouve qu'ici, on a trouvé une méthode assez inspirante, puis on veut finir la rencontre, pas comme plusieurs autres conférences le font, d'une façon engagée, d'une façon motivée, d'une façon de confirmer entre aujourd'hui et la prochaine conférence, parce qu'on va avoir une bonne nouvelle aujourd'hui, on recommence nos belles habitudes de se rencontrer régulièrement. Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? Non pas continuer à faire ce que l'on fait dans notre contexte respectif, mais est-ce qu'on peut se challenger? Est-ce qu'on peut vraiment explorer des façons pour qu'on collabore ensemble davantage? Si on veut des changements systémiques dans notre pays, si on veut vraiment avoir de l'impact dans l'ensemble de nos pratiques, dans nos contextes respectifs, est-ce qu'on peut explorer ce mot-là, collaboration, non pas juste en parlant, mais en voyant de plus en plus de pratiques collaboratives d'un bout à l'autre du pays? Tous ces moments nous amènent à la question d'aujourd'hui. Une question qu'on va aborder tout le monde ensemble et que les membres du premier panel vont nous amener à réfléchir puis nous amener à réagir. Surtout, n'oubliez pas le Twitter. Vous pouvez, pendant le panel, écrire vos questions, mais partager aussi vos opinions. La question d'aujourd'hui, c'est quelles sont les opportunités stratégiques devant nous? Ouais, quelles sont les stratégies, les opportunités stratégiques devant nous, le développement économique communautaire. Mais là, moi, je me rappelle Rankin, là, avec son histoire du premier soir, qui nous a raconté un énorme défi, ce qu'ils ont vécu dans leur communauté, ce que New Dawn avait vécu. Puis il avait essayé toutes les stratégies possibles, sauf une. Et c'était de revenir à la source même de la force collective, de la force de la communauté. Donc aujourd'hui, quand on va se tourner vers quelles sont les opportunités stratégiques devant nous, moi, je vous invite à regarder dans la salle. On est chanceux, David, puis moi, on est en avant, on vous voit tout le temps. Mais regardez dans la salle le potentiel de la force collective qu'on peut vraiment tisser entre nous. Il y a un momentum présentement. C'est sûr que dans certaines régions du Canada, il y a des choses vraiment pas intéressantes qui se passent, puis il y en a d'autres qui se passent des choses super intéressantes, mais il y a un momentum au niveau du développement économique communautaire. C'est une période dynamique et le sommet ici le démontre bien par notre énergie et notre dynamisme. Il y a des personnes, vous avez vécu des choses extraordinaires hier dans les ateliers, vous avez entendu des choses dans les panels, et on va prendre un micro. David, I will ask you. Yeah. On aimerait ça entendre 2-3 personnes, your wow moment of yesterday. Une découverte, une leçon apprise, quelque chose qui vous a provoqué, quelque chose avec laquelle vous allez repartir dans votre pochette, puis que vous allez mettre en œuvre dans votre contexte respectif. Il y a une main levée juste ici, David, à cette table-ci, juste là. Je vais te lever, s'il te plaît.
Ah oui, faut
puis te présenter aussi.
Ah non, il faut que je me lève. Lucie Villeneuve de la CEDEC de Québec, Corporation Développement économique communautaire. Ce que j'ai appris c'est à connaître les CIDEC. Je ne connaissais pas le mouvement, je connaissais les RD, je connaissais la CIDEC à Québec avec Michel Thibault, mais je ne connaissais pas le réseau québécois des CIDEC et j'ai beaucoup appris. Merci.
Merci. Il y avait aussi Michel, at this table, just in front, he's got his... Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui veut nous partager leur leçon apprise? Oui. Yeah, this one, yeah. Can you introduce yourself,
Yes.
please?
Hello, my name is Leo Matrunin, and I'm from Vancouver, BC. My background is in design, and so I'd just like to say there were many opportunities to learn things in the various workshops, but I want to give emphasis on this component of building holistic and integrated approach for communities. And as my background is in urban design, that's a physical community that's first created, but it's always forgotten the other part, which is the social enterprise opportunities to create ways for co-ops, especially, are opportunities for members, owners to conduct economic activity in a democratic and collaborative way. So I want to emphasize that as a point that we might take home with us.
Merci. David, you found another person who wants to share with us?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
My name is Eric, and I'm a recovering economic developer. And this has just been a tremendous experience. This is my first SEDNet conference, and I actually got sent here on a mission, and that is to talk to people and learn from people about exploring a CED certification program. Now, I could go on for a long time, and I don't want to monopolize everyone's time here, but as an economic developer, we're working in communities using taxpayers' dollars, and it's not working. It's driving an agenda that doesn't reach everybody, it doesn't engage everybody. And here in CED, where economic developers throw around community economic development as if it doesn't mean anything, here in CED we have much higher standards for our programs, for policies, for projects, and I think that we need to explore how we can share that with our economic development friends, establish a better understanding of what CED drives for, because there are a lot of indicators that people are not happy with what economic development is achieving, because there is no long-term benefits. And things like placemaking are hot trends in economic development. That's a no-brainer in CED. Obviously, we're placemaking. Obviously, we were community-based. So I'm here to pick brains and rally support for exploring this so that we can have a really robust conversation about it at the next SEDNet conference in Calgary in May 2017. So come chat with me about it, or tweet about it, or talk to your neighbors about it. But I think it's an exciting opportunity to change the face of economic development for the better, and there's no better time than now.
Thanks. You very much. Thank you. And maybe a last one, if there's another person who wants to share at the end table. And David, maybe you can walk back and join me during this last intervention. And it's Paul.
Hi, Paul Chamberlain.
From my neck of the wood.
Yes, with the Ontario SEDNet. And so, I mean, I think, first of all, I think the theme of kind of the importance of collaboration, collaborate deeply and collaborate broadly. So something that struck me. But then something very specific in terms of one of the workshops that I was in yesterday, and I wouldn't have gone to it because it's about sustainable livelihoods evaluation, and I've been connected with that for a long time in different ways. But I think being in the workshop again really reminded me that this is an approach where we're always wanting to find out about impacts, that we're being told we need to find out about impacts, but here's an approach that really, it's benefiting the clients, the people we're working with, it's helping, it's a tool for them and to benefit them. but at the same time, a way of making the qualifiable, qualitative, quantitative. So just kind of, I guess I was really struck by that again as an important tool that we can use in this day when we're always needing to show impacts.
Thanks. You so much, Paul. So thank you, and David, it's up to you to carry the program.
Yesterday, we considered what the strategic opportunities are for CED. In the exhibitor hall, the strategic opportunities identified by you have been assembled and synthesized. Today, we have a democracy exercise for you to vote for the ones that you think are the most important, where there is the greatest opportunity for collaboration and collective action. What should we work on and learn together as a community? Throughout the breaks, I invite you to go place a dot next to the item you find to be the highest priority. And after the conference, we'll share the results with all the participants. Today, we're looking forward, considering what's next for CED and what stewardship is needed to get there. There will be multiple times this conversation is happening today, during the panel, which we'll have very shortly, during the 2 networking breaks, where you can also network up as you check out, if you'd like. The post-its, of course, and there is also a 10:30 workshop with Mike Toy and Michael Lewis, a conversation, a follow-up to the panel. And at lunch, there will be a presentation of the highlights of that workshop. So if you want to visit any of the other workshops, please do so. Just be on time. We'll be exploring these questions throughout lunch, so do everything you can to stay until then. Your perspectives are vitally important. So to feed our reflections, we have an excellent panel, which I would like to invite to the stage now, if you would like to come up and take your seats. And we'll turn you over to our moderator, Mr. Ryan Gibson, who is Assistant Professor in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies at St. Mary's University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Ryan serves as an elected board member with the Canadian Rural Revitalization Foundation and holds appointments with the Rural Development Institute at Brandon University, the International Centre for Northern Governance and Development, the University of Saskatchewan, the Institute of Island Studies for the University of Prince Edward Island, and Assiniboine Community College. He is also board chair of the Canadian CED Network, so he has his hands on the wheel of the future of CED in Canada. So please welcome everyone, Ryan and our panelists.
Thank you, David. Bonjour, mes amis, and welcome to this session this morning. We've got a big topic. They've tasked us with a very large topic, but a really important topic, and that is what is next for CED in Canada. What does the future look like? And in 60 minutes, we are going to resolve the question with these 5 panelists. Or maybe we won't resolve it, but we'll shed light on that question and hopefully spur on a conversation that'll continue throughout the day with the session that immediately takes place after this plenary, but also in the concurrent sessions as well as over lunch and throughout our conversations and our connections. The session really is about 2 main themes. The first is to take a moment and to reflect on our discussions over the last day and a half, starting with Rankin's opening, continuing throughout the nearly 36 plenary sessions or concurrent sessions that have taken place, our lunch speakers. We've heard a lot of topics, and this is an opportunity to reflect on what people are taking away at the moment. And second, this is an opportunity to look forward. An opportunity to figure out or to discuss what are or what should be the priorities for the CED movement in the short term and in the long term, and what should be the strategic priorities that we have before us given the conditions that we're living in at the moment. I'm very grateful to be joined by 5 remarkable people from across Canada that can provide perspectives on these 2 big questions, I'll start at this direction. I'm not sure if that's my left or my right this morning, but we have Nadia Kidwai. She is the Events and the Engagement Coordinator with SEDNet in Manitoba. Next to Nadia, we have Michael Lewis, the Executive Director of the Canadian Centre for Community Renewal. We have Marie-Cécile Nottaway, owner of Wawate Catering, and I recently learned that Marie-Cécile is the recent winner earlier this week of 2 Entrepreneur Awards for her work here in Quebec. Congratulations. On my far side, we have Margie Mandel, who is a professor at the School of Community and Public Affairs at Concordia University here in Montreal. And we also have Laurent Lévesque, who is the General Coordinator for Unité de Travail pour l'implantation de logement étudiant. Perfect. My French I apologize, is not well. My days at the University of Quebec at Trois-Rivières have been long past, and always an interesting time. So I'd like to jump right in here, and I'm going to maybe ask Marie-Cécile to start out with our first question of, over the last day and a half, what has stood out for you? What have you taken away as some key messages so far at the conference? And I've already apologized to all of the panelists that I might cut them off, as we only have 60 minutes here. So, Marie-Cécile, your thoughts?
Okay, everyone can hear me? Bear with me, guys. Got sweaty palms and I'm nervous. Okay, what stood out for me the most out of the day and a half was when Henry Mintzberg, I think that's how I pronounce his name, when he was speaking and he was talking about communityism, and I don't know if I interpret it right, but for me what it meant was it takes a community to be successful in your business personally. It took a community, and it's still taken a community for my business to succeed, because I used local products as much as I could. I used the resources that were around me. I have a photographer in the family. I have a web designer in my family. I have my sisters and my cousins, a lot of them women, that helped me throughout my whole business. And like we were talking about earlier, like I have 2 kids, and we mentioned that it takes a village to raise a kid, right? And it's the same thing with a business. Like my business is my baby, so it takes a village, it takes a community to raise my baby, my business. So for me, that's what stood out the most, because I don't know what he meant by communityism, but that's to me what it meant.
Perfect. That's a great perspective. Maybe for yourself, Laurent, what has been one of those key messages that you've walked away from?
Ben moi, j'ai remarqué que microphone translation cue. Moi, j'ai remarqué que on se gênait pas dans la salle puis dans la communauté qui est ici réunie pour parler de bottom-up development. Puis c'est vraiment ça, je pense, une des de ce que je perçois, évidemment, puis moi aussi, c'est avec ma perspective d'entrepreneur notamment, mais ce que je perçois, c'est que ça fait partie de l'ADN du développement économique communautaire, d'être approprié par les communautés, puis d'être vraiment grassroots, d'être bottom-up, c'est la meilleure expression, puis c'est toutes des expressions en anglais que j'arrive pas à traduire, mais ça, c'est vraiment quelque chose qui m'a marqué.
Perfect. Maybe I'll swing down to the far end of the panel here to Nadia. From your perspective, what have you taken away so far?
Okay. The session that really resonated with me, it actually got me excited, which I didn't know was possible about economics, was the session on indigenomics. That may have had to do with the fact it had a hashtag as part of the title. That made it cool, but it was this idea, first of all, actually being quite serious, the fact that there was a hashtag and she was referencing tweets, I thought immediately spoke to a younger generation, and I got that. But this idea that, you know, making it relevant to a certain generation, making economics relevant to a marginalized community, although of course the indigenous peoples are not just a community, a huge part of what makes us Canadians. And such a timely conversation to have, given that it's the year of reconciliation and idle no more, and it felt very relevant to the political climate too. And as a visible minority, it resonated in the sense that, is this something that we could apply to cultural communities too? The idea of bringing our kind of internal historic traditions and wisdoms to economics, and that got my brain moving, so that really stood out for me.
Perfect. Maybe I'll flip now to the other side of the stage here. In terms of your reflections, Margie, what stood out for you?
Is this on? Yes. Several things, but I think mostly the richness and diversity of experiences, the wealth of knowledge in this room, which if you then expand to include all the people that all of you work with, is enormous. In listening to you again this morning, I suddenly realized Henry Mintzberg made a point yesterday about, we talked about that this morning, how, you know, the private sector is so good at mobilizing and having a common voice, and that we do all these wonderful things, but that we're so fragmented. But I think there's even something else I'd like to address. The new vocabulary, the sharing economy, the collaborative economy. I got a new one this morning. Maybe I'm late, but the solutions economy. I got an email this morning. Has anybody heard of that one yet? The solutions economy, the impact economy. I mean, they're stealing our language. I mean, you know, they're discovering that this is a business model. We've been doing it as a bottom-up, a community-based local economic development strategy for decades. And so I think what this reinforces for me is the necessity for us, and I would repeat, I guess, what Henry said, but also what I felt yesterday as I went from room to room. And I really went from room to learn. I wanted to go to sessions where I felt I could learn about sectors, the energy sector, for example, a very important sector for us to understand better, even the technicalities of it. How are we able to get our message out? But even among us, how are we better able to create tools so that we can raise our own awareness about what's going on, so that we don't have to be an expert on all these things, but that we know who to contact or what resources to draw upon. So let's reclaim this vocabulary that people are discovering and really implementing it as a business model. If you look at some of the new literature on shared value, Michael Porter and company, I mean, basically what they're saying is that, you know, these are profit centers, and that the business of the future cannot possibly be lucrative unless they embrace this model. That is not what we're about. So let's reclaim the vocabulary and the values that underlie it. That's what I was left with yesterday, and I will be left with again today, I think.
Perfect. And a great comment around reclaiming the language. Maybe for yourself, Mike, what has stood out for you over the last day and a half of our discussions?
Well, several things. I love the way Nancy kind of said community economic development isn't just about local. It's rooted in community, but the challenges we face require us to think beyond community in a multi-level way. And that got kind of accented by Mintzberg's comment that the private is way too powerful, it's out of balance, and that our voice is too weak, and that we better figure out how to kind of connect the dots and organize on a broader basis. I heard things in this conference, being kind of old in this process, that I haven't heard before. And I'm very happy about hearing them. The acuteness of the crisis we're in started to find elevation, whether it be the climate crisis or enclosure about corporatization. Trade agreements have never been really elevated, although they weren't debated here, or I'm not sure how many of us understand. But the precariousness of work, what's happening with respect to technological displacement, the dimensions of that are way beyond what is comprehensible. Oxford University published a study last year that said 47 million jobs in the United States could be gone in 20 years. These are major trends, but we heard things about pathways around energy democracy. We've never had that in this form. We've had a little bit of food, but that's finding a way of coming forward, these basic needs. I heard monetary policy actually elevated in the people from the States and Vermont trying to figure out a public banking. This is absolutely crucial, more crucial than most of us can comprehend in terms of what's shaping our present and what we must shift if we're going to have a future that can contend with the issues we face. So, and the other thing, just in closing, that I was so happy to hear was when Jonathan talked about healing our otherness. And when Lar on the panel yesterday talked about we need to toughen our minds with tender hearts. And I think the spiritual and emotional dimension and how we create that in our life and communities, but also in our coming together is important, because this is, the challenges we face are so deep and systemic that we need an interior way of sustaining ourselves, and that too is something that requires community as well as our own reflections. So that's what I'd like to say.
Perfect. And I'm sure each of you have taken away very messages as well of different sessions you've attended. I want to flip the coin though now and ask our panelists here, and I recognize the conference isn't complete yet. There are still a whole suite of sessions to attend, but I'm wondering if there are things that when you came to the conference you anticipated hearing, different themes that you might have thought would have been discussed in the room that maybe haven't been so far. And maybe I could start at the far end with Nadia. Are there any themes that you maybe haven't heard yet that you would like to put on the table, particularly as we start to talk about where do we go forward?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one theme that's very important to me around diversity and inclusion. And I don't think that was, formally on any of the workshops. I don't know if maybe it was in some of the conversations that arose out of the workshops. But something that, we as a sector really need to focus and concentrate on is around inclusivity and engaging cultural communities. Me and Cezanne were, oh, by the way, can I just say how you described the three of us saying right now?
Yes, go for it. Okay. When I first got up here, Mike, right? It's like, pointed to the seat, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked at her, I was like, oh, look at that, we made an ice cream sandwich.
And I'm the ice cream.
Basically, there needs to be a lot more ice cream sandwiches around these tables. So I challenge ECONOUS for our next conference that half this room needs to be of different colors. This isn't, this shouldn't be. This is not something that us as a sector would be threatened by. This is something that we welcome, right? A lot of other communities would be threatened by this. And so I think, me and Cezanne were talking about this yesterday, and I'm really used to being the only brown person in the room. It's fine, I'll take it, but it shouldn't be the norm. And we have a lot of wisdom to learn from different communities and cultures, and especially, with this year, or 2015, and that target that Trudeau had for, thousands of refugees coming into Canada, this is something very real, and something that we need to really focus on strategically, is how are we going to engage all these newcomers coming in? How are we going to integrate them and make CED a relevant, viable option that engages them? And something that SEDNet in Manitoba and SEDNet nationally is starting to think about. Can I get a raising the roof from SEDNet Manitoba in the corner? Louder. Thank you. This is something we're talking about. Tomorrow we have an all-day staff planning session with the National Board and SEDNet nationally, and we're focusing on questions around diversity and inclusion. And I think every organization needs to start having these conversations. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about moving forward, but so that was missing for me. And I hope in the coming conferences, it's not just one workshop, but it's actually a lens that all workshops look through when we're talking about whatever issues, whatever strategies or projects that we're sharing, is this cultural lens.
Thank you for that. Now, Margie, I'm sure she took the ice cream sandwich metaphor right from your notes. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, are there things that you maybe haven't heard yet that you were anticipating?
Again, I feel, it's difficult to answer a question like that given the number of workshops. So I didn't hear a lot that I'm sure I would have learned a great deal from. But in just scanning them, and I'm not talking now because I'm in the education sector, but I think that, it would be good to have some sessions on the role of education, on higher education, on different institutions, and a hybrid concept. So it's not necessarily degree oriented, but where can we provide spaces for co-learning to bring together practitioners, people with a lot of experience, and those who are trained in various forms of pedagogy, and to move beyond the extended learning or popular education, which is always outside the institution. So the institution remains fixed in a certain, embedded in a certain culture, and everything that's quote real. And here I am an academic, and I'm being self-critical, but everything that's real is sort of hived off into the popular education field. I come from a university, I'm at Concordia University, where we don't do that, and I'm really proud of that university, and I'm really proud of our program, which is represented here. It was one of the first community economic development programs, and I don't know if Bill Nienax is in the room, but it was Bill Nienax, myself, and Lance Evoy that invented that program. I'm literally, and had a lot of difficulty at the time. It was not an easy sell. And I was in the institution and had to take hard hits from an institutional culture that wasn't receptive. I think if we fast forward 20 years later, there's more, the reception is there. I want to bring, Laurent into my classes more often to talk about how you can innovate and create cooperative housing. I want to bring in his colleague and partner who helped generate an investment fund, through student tuition levies. There's so much innovation that is going on. So I would come back to Mike's point, of mixing these experiential learning, and then being able to stand back and say, well, where does this all fit into the global economy? Where does this all fit into the different crises? So in terms of what we could do in the future, I would have, it could be a dialogue. It doesn't have to be a panel. A dialogue on what do we need, what kinds of educational environments do we want, what are the tools, who do we want inside the universities or in colleges or even in high schools, to be able to not just spread a message, but to learn how to do it better.
Perfect. I actually heard a story, and I had a conversation with someone yesterday that they were encouraging fables, short stories for children should be written about CED and the social economy, so that children are hearing about it every evening. And by the time they grow up, it's just become second nature.
Don't tell my kids that. There'll be a revolt in my house.
But maybe for yourself, Laurence, anything that you maybe haven't heard?
Q. Mais moi, une question que je pense que ce serait intéressant qu'on réfléchisse, c'est comment est-ce qu'on peut utiliser l'approche du développement économique communautaire pour faire évoluer l'économie dans son ensemble, pour ne pas se voir simplement comme un secteur complètement à part, un peu comme en parlait Henry Mintzberg, mais pour se voir comme un modèle de ce que l'économie pourrait être. Dans une époque contemporaine où on a pris acte du fait que les trickle-down economics ne marchent pas, est-ce qu'on peut y répondre en proposant notre trickle-up, notre bottom-up economics? Est-ce qu'on peut proposer l'approche communautaire comme une approche qui peut répondre à l'ensemble de nos besoins de la société, puis qui est capable de transformer l'économie dans son ensemble. Puis ça pose la question de qu'est-ce qu'on apporte à l'économie en entier, qu'est-ce qu'on veut y changer. Puis bien évidemment, j'ai beaucoup aimé les réflexions de Margie et Mike. Ce qu'on veut changer, c'est pas juste les mots. Est-ce qu'on peut transformer, amener des idées du développement économique communautaire dans le développement économique point, qui ne sont pas juste le contenant, mais qui est le contenu? Est-ce qu'on peut amener les valeurs, les pratiques, les approches, la démocratie, et pas juste le collaboratif, les mots, la communauté, le branding? Ça, je pense que c'est un beau projet pour maximiser notre impact sur la société, pas juste dans nos réseaux, mais aussi à l'extérieur.
Maybe I could turn to Marie-Cécile. For yourself, what didn't you hear that you maybe thought you might before coming?
Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, I'm going to go in a completely different direction because it's just how I roll. Okay, this may sound weird, but you know, we were kind of discussing this earlier, but and I don't know if this will make sense, but more of like a spiritual aspect of the, you know, entrepreneurship and business and whatnot. But and why I say that is because not only have I been on physical how did I say that? Journey. Thank you. I'm getting a. Yes. Okay, thank you for paying attention, Laurent. Merci beaucoup. So not only have I been on a physical journey, a mental journey, like I've been on a spiritual journey. You know, I was lost before. I drank, I smoked pot, you know, I partied. I did all of that stuff, and I was so lost. And I found myself, you know, I finished my education, and I educated myself through work. I immersed myself in the field that I wanted to eventually pursue my life in, right? Catering. So I just worked in a rehabilitation center for 5 years, and after that I decided, okay, you know what, I'm ready. I'm gonna quit my job, and I'm gonna pursue my life as a professional caterer. So I think it's important that we have to think about the spiritual aspect of what we do as well, because we can't forget, like, that made me who I am, and it's helped me become what I am. Did I just? Yeah.
That was good.
Okay. Oof. I'm a little bit of a squirrel. Like I can focus, and then I'll see something, and then I'll, whoa, you know. So
Can I just say
You're a squirrel, I'm nuts.
So for me, like, this is community economic development right here in this woman. Hearing the stories of, you know, the people who are living this and who use CED, and it's a real thing. It's not just this term. It's not like, you know, academic jargon. This is the story of someone who is lifted by that. That really speaks to me, and I think speaks to a lot of people. And not being afraid to talk about spirituality. Like, we use the word empowerment all the time, you know, but when you hear from someone who's actually lived it, that, I think, is what touches people and can get people excited about this. So, you know, thank you for sharing your stories and being so honest and open about your struggles. And yeah, we need to hear more of those voices, I think.
Perhaps the last comments on this question of what was maybe missing, we'll turn to Mike. Were there one or two things that you anticipated hearing that you didn't hear or haven't heard yet?
Not so much. I mean, I was surprised with what I heard, not what I didn't hear, so I was happy. No. But I do think that what I mentioned previously, of course, it's difficult to have heard how do we take those things in and actually get focused together in a much more rigorous way on what's most important, given the fact that there's certain challenges we face that are not optional. And I'll just say a thing. When we started this network, it was a long process to get there, but the first thing we did was try and organize a national policy framework. That national policy framework was really framed around what our understanding at that time was, of what best practice was, what was working, and try and frame a means by which we could lobby and so on to get enabling policy that would allow us to move forward. The reason I'm talking about this is that three of us wrote a framework. It went out across the country in the various regions. There was all kinds of meetings and debates. We took those in. It got rewrapped. We had a national policy conference, and that is the basis upon which this network grew and thrived. And in 2004 or 5, whenever it was, we had 800